You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible session of the African Father in America podcast. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am in Seattle, Washington. And today I have a really special guest. I am being joined by my incredible brother, Roger Poland, who is an author and a teacher. We are going to have an amazing conversation grounded on a Ghanaian proverb. Roger, go ahead and just say hi before we begin.
How are you guys doing? Good morning.
Excellent. Thank you again for making the time to join us today. For those who are joining us for the first time, every day when we gather here for the African Father in America podcast, we also come with an African proverb that grounds our conversation. And so today our proverb is from Ghana, and it says that the good mother knows what her children will eat. The good mother knows what her children will eat. This is going to be the center of our conversation today, and I have 3 nuggets of wisdom that I am going to share with you around this proverb. These nuggets of wisdom were inspired by this proverb. Before I share them, I just want to ask you, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also give this video a thumbs up. That's one of the ways that you can support this movement. If you are listening on Clubhouse, I just want you to share the link to this conversation, with 3 to 5 people that can join the conversation today. And also you can join us on the stage, because in the next 15 to 20 minutes, we are going to invite you so that you can also share your perspectives on today's wonderful conversation. So these are the 3 nuggets of wisdom that my team and I prepared for you today. And these nuggets of wisdom were inspired by today's proverb. Again, the proverb from Ghana says that the good mother knows what her children are going to eat. Now, the first nugget of wisdom says that plan ahead for what you want and need. Plan ahead for what you want and need. Number 2, pay attention to the needs of your loved ones. Pay attention to the needs of your loved ones. And then number 3, be prepared for anything. Especially in the world that we live in today, these 3 nuggets are so relevant. And I will bring on my guest today so that we can also hear a little bit about this proverb particularly. I want to hear what Roger has to say about it. Roger, we sent you this proverb, I think maybe a day or so ago. What is it that came to your mind when you received it?
Well, for me, just as a high school teacher, I feel like a lot of the times we use words and we don't really trace the definition of the words. Like, communication is me sending my interpretation or my perspective of what I see to you. And then when we go into Proverbs, I think they're not literal. So when I heard the good mother, right, good denotes a bad mother as well. But I tell my students, a mother is different from mom. Mother as in Mother Earth. If you want to abstract that out, it would be every good mother that has ever been on the earth, and take all of those common characteristics and raise that above. So that's to me is the good mother. Then knows, right? There are different forms of knowing. Like, I know that you're in a chair right now. I'm in a chair. Well, you know your chair better than I know that chair. And the person who built that chair knows it better than you. So when we start talking about the good mother, the provider knows, right? And she knows because what do mothers do? They are the only ones who can really, truly give birth. So they know from a different level. And then, children would be the spawn of the mother. And will, it's not want, it's not can, it's not like, it's will. Like the preemptive notion that I know more than you. And then eat would be, for me, bringing in sustenance. And sustenance, we know that it's not only warmth, it's not only nutrition, it's love, it's admiration, it's care, it's hugs. So the good mother, the mom who is aligned with the good mother, can provide her child with what they need before they even know that they need it. Whether they need to be picked up and sang and hugged and coddled, whether they need to be fed, whether they need to be provided for. That's what I got out of it. When we bring ourselves and our being and we conform to what's natural, what's true. Just when I had my kids, I have 7-year-old twins. It's kind of like, they get delivered and then it's like, all right, here you go. You're off. You don't get a manual. I think I say people have to jump through more hoops to get driver's license than they do to have children. And I think because in one aspect, a lot of those things are natural if you're really truly in tune with Mother Nature. Right, with the good mother, those things just naturally come out of you, and you can say it's kind of like when you have a friend, and they don't say anything, you just see them, and you're like, okay, hold on, what's wrong? You already automatically know through that intuition, through your spirit. So that's what I got out of that.
Yeah, I love it. I can tell that you have the spirit of a teacher for sure. And, as you're speaking, I was, my mind was also drifting towards the role of teachers as mothers. You might have male teachers, but they actually not only play the role of father figures, but, the nurturing spirit of mothers is also represented by males, by people that actually extend what you're speaking. When you speak about, Mother Nature, and how Mother Nature is a provider, it's hard not to speak about teachers. And so I'm so happy that, you took the time to be here with us today. So, one of the things I love asking guests that join me for the African Father in America podcast is a story, a childhood story, maybe when you are 8 to 16, something that really drives who you are today. I share this same story a lot, and it's because it's really what drives me today. When I was 8 years old, my mother gave me a bicycle and asked me to help distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood. I grew up in a very, very rough neighborhood, one of the most violent, most unpredictable places. You might leave going to buy grocery and you might never come back, and we grew up there and we survived. But it's because of what my mother did that I feel that personally I am now an entrepreneur, I am a podcaster, I can do so many things because she entrusted me with a bicycle and she gave me stock every day and she said, this is your area, you distribute it, build relationships with these business people and see what happens, I want you to share a similar story because for me, that story is why I love waking up early in the morning. I don't complain at all, That's why I have this show so early in the morning. It's, 6:10 a.m. in the morning here in Seattle, Washington. And in fact, a lot of guests don't want to be interviewed for this show because it's too early, I want you to share with us a story.
You don't want what you say, you want what you do. And just to touch on the point that you made in terms of male, female, masculine and feminine aren't male and female. I think we've kind of conflated those issues. Feminine would be an internal concept and masculine would be an external or projecting. So, when I'm speaking, I ask my students this all the time, what is more important, what I think or what I say? It's not, it's both. It's the combination of both. So it's males have a feminine and masculine, females have a feminine and masculine. And of course, for the most part, most males are more masculine, most females are more feminine, but we both still have two parts. It's all about balance. My story is when I was in 7th grade, I was a good student. I went to an IB school, And I played football. I was an athlete. I played basketball, football, baseball, track. You name it, I did it. And my grades were better than everybody else's on the team, but I ended up getting a D in Spanish. And we were in the playoffs. We were in the game right before we went to the Super Bowl. And I didn't tell anybody about it. It was no big deal. And then when my dad found out, he was like, no, he's not going to play. And I was one of the best players. And the coaches had to come to my house. They sat down, and for 2 hours, they just had a conversation about how important it was. And he wasn't going to budge. And then he finally went through with it. And my parents put a lot of structure on myself and my brothers. And, like I was an athlete. I wanted to go out and play basketball out at the park. So what did my parents do? They bought a basketball hoop and put it right there in front of the yard. And I say that to say, for a lot of our kids, the constraints that are put on you aren't put on you to punish you. They're put on you to not reward you, but to keep you safe, because we don't ever know what is outside the door. We don't know what's in the future. No one can tell that future. And then as a mother and a father, as a protector, as a provider, they're older than you. They've lived on the earth longer. They have more information and knowledge than that kid has. So that was my big take back from for me in my life. And when I got the head football coaching job, I invited my parents to my first parent meeting, and I thanked them. The only thing that we ever do, what's the most important thing that has ever happened to you in your life, is that you were born. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't be here. And then the second most important, and it's not even the second, it's number one, it's the fact that someone took care of you. Because we know this from the Soviet Union. If you put a child and you give it food, if you give it water, if you give it warmth, if you give it everything other than human touch, that baby will die. So for me, it was them taking that step and holding their ground sometimes when it was hard. Giving my football coaches and Pop Warner a 2-hour bout about, a D is not, he has all A's and B's in his other classes, but 1 D is not good enough for my son. And really sticking to those guns. And it made an impact on me on how I am deliberate and intentional with the things that I do. And like you're saying, you get up at 6 a.m. Some days I get up at 5. Sometimes I get up at 4 when I want to work out in the morning. If you want to do it, you have to find time to do it. There's only 24 hours in a day. So that's my story. My shout out to my parents.
Yeah, man. It's so important for parents to be appreciated. A lot of the time, parents work hard, and they forget about themselves. Most parents. I'm a parent. You're a parent, and many children don't realize. When I was a child, I didn't realize how hard my mom and dad actually even worked hard to put up with each other, leave alone raising you. Just putting up with each other was a full-time work, especially because my father was a polygamist, so he had to juggle 2 households. I didn't realize how complex that was until I had my own household,
Right.
Anyway, so this is a great conversation. For those who are just joining us, we are here with Roger Poland, who is a great teacher. He's also an author. He writes, incredible books. And we are just about to jump into, some of the work that Roger is doing. But we can't do this without our village. And so if you're watching on YouTube, I want you to make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. But if you are listening on Clubhouse, I want you to take a minute, join us on the stage, but also share the link to this room, this Clubhouse room. Share it on Twitter and on other platforms so that you can help us grow, this little village of ours. Now, my brother Roger, when you think about the work that you've done, I just heard that you are, a football football coach, I want you to reflect on all these great things you've done, from being a teacher, being a player, being a son, until this moment that we are sitting here, and just maybe pick 3 of the things that makes you very, very proud, that you want to share with us today. Something that, when your students listen to this conversation later on, they will be like, that's the Roger I'm speaking about.
I think everything comes back down to motivation for me as a football coach, as a teacher. I'm really, really interested in the fact that people will sit there, just like you said, people will say, oh, I want to get on your podcast. Oh, I really want to do it. Yeah, I want to build this. I want to grow this. But then if you say you have to do it at 6 a.m., all of a sudden things change. And so I'm really interested in how people say one thing and then they do another. So what I did is I really started going into the physiological reasons why. Like, how does our brain work? Like, we all have a brain. How does it work? Right? If you want to motivate yourself, what are the things that you need to do in order to get that done? But one of the big things was when I first took over as head coach, we weren't a really good team. There was a really, really big team, really, really good team in a private school that's over here. And what we were able to do was my second year, we ended up beating them in a game that was just phenomenal, and to be able to be a part of something that one, people didn't expect, and then 2, it was David beating Goliath. Because if you come down from it, from the number of kids they had, from the amount of money that they have, for every single reason other than the power of belief. So being able to see, to cultivate, to move, to grow an environment and a culture and build that. And what we always told the kids was, what they do on the field, it echoes beyond the field. There were a few of my students from my sociology class that they ended up creating a field trip so that they can get buses to get other students towards the game. So really being a part of seeing a creative act. And it wasn't just all me. Like, my principal was on board, my athletic director was on board. But when a whole bunch of people come together and they have one mission and one goal, and it manifests, so that was big. 2, as a sociology teacher before I was a head coach, I used to have motivational Mondays. And what I did with my 9th graders was I said, I don't teach 3rd grade. I can't. If a kid poops his pants, you know what I'm saying? I can't reprimand him for that. He's in 3rd grade. But as 9th graders, I don't care what your family situation is like. You can, and the example I used was, you can be growing up on the Metro Rail, homeless. The only time that you can eat is when you're at school for breakfast and lunch. And if you right now start studying as a 9th grader for the SAT for 20 minutes a day, right? Be intentional and deliberate about studying for the SAT for 20 minutes a day. If you're intentional and deliberate about how you write down your assignments, write down all of your assignments in one place. If you're detailed about that, you get all A's and B's in your classes, you have a great SAT score, you can single-handedly change your life by getting an academic scholarship. Flat out, point blank, period. And then if you're a minority, it's even more of the fact. But the thing is, we have to lean into the things that we don't like. The things that are harder are the things that we have to lean into. So I did that. And then like 3 or 4 years later, I came into my office and there was a letter on my desk. And it was I don't even know who it is. Some girl she wrote it like, hey, I was in your psychology class 5 years ago. I was really homeless at the time. Everything that you said on Motivational Monday, I listened to, and I busted my butt and I got a full academic scholarship to Columbia University. And it was kind of weird because I have my regular students and they'll listen to me. But then at times, my football players who I invest more time and more energy and more effort with don't. And so that's what really got me into that motivational concept of like, how do you get through to somebody who won't listen? And that's what put me on, writing books. I wrote this 3-part, and I guess the third thing is this motivational book series. I'm an avid listener of motivation just because when I was building my football team, I said, I'm not trying to build football players. Like 0.005% of them will end up playing football for a living. What I'm trying to do is build men, because we need men to build our civilization. We need good men become good fathers, and good fathers make good children. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more of a return. I may not see it in the terms of, this player's in the NFL and this player there, but when I have different parents coming to me and excited about their child being more intentional and deliberate about what they're doing as it pertains to education, that pays its dividends, not only in just an internal feeling, but we are literally making the world a better place anytime we pour into the future and the children. So what I wanted to do was, when people think of motivation, I think they think of the Asian, the sensation, the movement. I broke it down into first motive. If you're in Seattle, I'm in Miami. If I was to, if you gave me your address and I was to plug it into the GPS, it would tell me where to go, how to get to you, but it has to also know where I am. So that's the first book that I wrote in trying to give people a better understanding of who they are from the two standpoints. Like, one, you were born, so you have personality traits: conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, extroversion, and openness. So I wanted to highlight those things so that kids could see that. Like, I'm a conscientious person. I will go to work. I get up. Last year, I'd get up every morning at 4:04. I'd work out for an hour, get a meditation in for 30 minutes. And then, I'm going to go. I have to plan out my breaks. I have to plan out my rest and relaxation time. There are other people who aren't conscientious, but as long as you can identify, because when you identify something, you are including certain traits and you're excluding certain traits. And we don't like to look at both aspects. We love to look at everything through a singular lens. And then from a sociological standpoint, right? Somebody took care of you. You are your faith, family, friends, mass media, and education. Those 5 things from a society standpoint, mold you and build you. So wanted to give people a good understanding of those things, just so that they could say, oh, okay, what is your family structure like? How do you attack the education system? And then as a teacher, everybody who is in education, everybody who is in school isn't going the academic route. I tell my students, you have 5 ways in which this can go. You can go to college, you can go to military, you can go to trade school, you can go right into the workforce, or you can go to your mom's couch, but right now, those are your 5 options. Give me another option. Give me one. Now, if your dad is Elon Musk, if your dad is Jeff Bezos, you got another thing coming. But those are your 5 options. So, and like I tell them, the longer you wait to make that decision on which route you're going to go, it's like you're pulling a rubber band back. And the longer you wait, you're not going to let go from it on this side. You're going to let go from on this side, and that's going to hurt. And it's not going to hurt me. It's going to hurt you. So the only thing that you are actually taking part in building your life. No matter what you think, no matter what you do, we're 100% invested in where we are, whether you like it or not. And then getting into that is, we know that we can go through the same thing. And if I look at it as if it was pushed onto me, cortisol and stress comes up. If I look at it as a challenge, dopamine comes out, the happy hormone, the seeking, my motivational systems. So I'm letting kids know, like, look, everything you do, you're not going to like, right? If you liked everything, if you grew up in a palace where you had absolutely everything, the first thing you would do is throw something and try and smash it, because we like excitement. We like adventure. That's why when we watch a football game, when we watch a basketball game, we don't want to see our team win by 50 points. When I watch the national championship, I want to see a back and forth game. I want to see a big hit here. I want to see a big play here. I want to see we want those ups and downs. But so we're interested in those ups and downs when we're watching it, but we don't think that we have to go through those for us to really, manipulate and create a beautiful life. And that's a contradiction. We need a challenge. And after you conquer that challenge, you go right back to square one and look for the new challenge. So those are my big three, being able to build and cultivate, turn a losing team into a winning team, writing the motivational book series. And then that one girl who was in my sociology class that I don't even remember who it is. Every time I talk about her so that hopefully, she hears it one day and we link up. So those are my three.
Incredible. Yeah, I love just your storytelling capabilities and just your accomplishment. No joke. I want to. Yeah, man. I want to come to our audience members here in just a minute. Before we do that, I see a lot of good statements around you, Roger. I see discipline on your T-shirt. I see courage behind you. Why do you have those around you?
Okay. Well, yeah, I talked about the first book, right? That's where you are. My second book is, what is wisdom, right? Like, wisdom means, right? Again, defining words. Wisdom is the intentional cultivation of virtues in the hopes of reaching our highest potential. So my three virtues that I focus on in the second book is courage, love, and discipline. Courage, because courage is the willingness to act looking into the future, knowing that good and bad things can happen. I can't just only think about the good. I have to think about the bad. I have courage to take the game-winning shot, knowing there's an opportunity and I might miss it, and I'm still with my eyes wide open, willing to take it. Love is my willingness to sacrifice myself for my future self, for the person that will be there in 10 years, for the person that will be there in 20 years. I might want to eat a whole gallon of ice cream, but I don't want to work off the weight. So, having that love for yourself, and then discipline, use the lessons and blessings from the past so that you can manipulate and maneuver in the future. So, the easiest one is, I say, courage. If you're being courageous in a practical manner, you've got to pay attention to the way that you eat. You got to pay attention to the way that you sleep, and you got to pay attention to the way that you work out. And what I tell people is exercise. We know this. Exercise isn't about getting abs. Exercise increases the brain differential neurotrophic factor in your body and your system. That's BDNF, comes from your muscles themselves when they're working, and your liver. And what that does is it goes into your hippocampus, and your hippocampus is where your memories are stored. So they're getting this research from people with dementia, people with Alzheimer's, what exercise is doing for our brain. Like if you do anything, if you're being courageous, like this body is yours, like in 15 years, in 20 years, it's yours. Are you being courageous? Are you looking at the negative consequences behind what you eat? And I tell people this all the time, like, yo, I'm not saying not to eat McDonald's. I eat McDonald's like every Friday with my kids. We have Happy Meal Fridays. But what I am saying is you can't eat it every day. You can't eat junk every day. We know what sugar is doing to us. We know from looking from diabetes, looking from all of the diseases that we're seeing, that we have to be intentional and deliberate about it. Yeah, like if I eat bad, then I'll say, all right, exercise-wise, I'm going to burn that crap off or do whatever and be intentional about how we're living. So, the first book was Find Out Who You Are. The second book is Courage, Love, and Discipline, only really talking about the main issues. Like love, I put, study and scholarship, study our history, but from an objective study point of view. Don't look at it subjectively, like us versus, get out of the us versus them and just look at what's happening. Look at the whole story. Look at their side. Look at their side. Like we're here, and the audience members, you, me, we're all having this conversation, but everybody is taking something a little bit different from it. Um, uh, what do we know about the human being from a psychological standpoint? What do we know in general as a society from the psychological factors? Like, learn about it because you're a human being. Like, learn out about yourself. Again, who knows that chair that you're sitting in better than the person who built it? And what I'm saying is, build your chair, but that's building your body. As you build your body, you know more about it, and now you have more knowledge of yourself. And then artistic creation, right? Creativity. We all, like, think about it. Throughout all of our sports, throughout all of the biggest stadiums, between Amazon spent $1 billion on Rings of Power. The creative act is something that is so powerful for us as human beings that I'm like, why is that? And I think it's because we are the creative act. You're not the same person when you're mad. You're not the same person when you're sad. You're not the same person when you're in love. So you're trying to integrate all of those different emotional drives. And when you bring them in unison in one, you have something beautiful and creative. And then the last one is meditation, a connection. But if you don't believe in anything, I'm an atheist or whatever. All right, well then you believe in what you see. There's nature out there, right? We know that in grounding, you could put your feet on the naked earth, and there's an electrical current that goes through your body. Go out there and think about that. If you are spiritual, if you do believe in the nun or whatever you believe, I don't care, whatever it is, spend some time every single day connecting with that. I think we worship money more than we worship that, a relationship with on a spiritual sense. And then love. So I broke them down like that. I didn't give all of the science behind it. That's my third book that I'm working on now. I'm hoping to have that out by next November, but I don't know. I see it is a monster. But it's not for anybody. It's not to sell. It's for my kids. Because as a high school teacher, I see so many kids coming in there that are lost. It doesn't matter how good a teacher I am. If a kid doesn't want to learn, I can't do anything. I can talk to them, but if they don't really understand where they are or what they're doing or how they're hurting themselves, it's like, so I wanted to give my kids that ability to, summer going into ninth grade, this is who you are from a sociological standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, courage, love, discipline, and then the science, the hard science behind meditation, grounding, all of the different things that I brought up. Willpower, intentional, deliberate, all of that.
Well, looks like we have a couple of other episodes to record together because I want us to do a deep dive on each of your books. I feel like this was just an initial conversation for us to learn about each other. So hopefully we can get that done. But for now, I want you to take a few notes. We have incredible friends and family who have joined us, and I want you to note some of the things that they're going to share with us that that inspire you, that you just want to comment on towards the end. I know that Lavender is in a meeting somewhere, so she might not be able to speak, but I want to invite you anyway, Lavender. Just say hello if you can, speak about today's proverb, and any comment to our special guest. I'll give you a moment.
Hello, hi Simon, hi Roger. It's amazing
Hello.
to hear the conversation today, and I'm in an engagement at the moment, so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much, Simon.
Excellent. Thank you, Lavender. And Lavender is one of my colleagues at One Vibe. So I want to go to Stella, who is another colleague of mine at One Vibe. Stella, go ahead and speak about today's proverb. Share with us where you're joining us from, any comment to our guest, and also if you want to speak about some of the things that are going on at One Vibe that excites you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. Hello, Roger. I must say that I've been motivated by your speech today. And I loved when you say that if you want to do something, you just have to get out there and do it. And that really spoke to me And so at One Vibe, I do a lot of digital marketing, do social media marketing, and SEO, search engine optimization. We create blog posts. And right now, the most exciting activities that we are doing deal mostly with EMAP, which is Education, Music, and Arts Program, where we nurture talents, especially for the youth. Yeah, it's all about giving back to the community. And I once had someone say that if you want to be successful, then you must serve people, you must give people solutions. And when you serve people, then you create like a reward system for yourself, a huge reward system that never ends. So it's such an exciting opportunity and activity that we've been engaged in. Moving on to today's proverb that talks about the good mother knows what her children will eat. When I first saw this proverb, it reminded me of long time ago when I was still young and I was sick. One day I felt sick and my tummy was aching. It was aching so bad and I didn't know what to do. And I think I found myself alone in the house. I think some people were engaged somewhere, but I couldn't find my mom. So I just left the house and went looking for her. And I was crying. So I was walking nearby, just looking for her, crying. And then, fortunately enough, I met her on the way when she was coming back home. And she was asking me why I was crying. Then I told her my tummy was aching. And then she just smiled and she gave me some herb. It's called a catch. I know you know it, Simon. So I think she boiled it and gave it to me, and it just disappeared. So from that day, I always looked at her like someone who has all the solutions to all my problems. Because whenever I would tell her, whenever I would raise any problem to her, she would like come up with a solution. So when I saw this proverb, it showed me how our mothers always try to find solutions. And even if you look at the nature, we call it Mother Nature. It just has a way of giving us solutions. Like sometimes the universe just watches you, and you could think that you're going through all the troubles in the world. Then it just presents you with all the solutions that you thought you didn't have. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stella. Those are incredible perspectives. I appreciate you for being here and for giving us so much, wisdom to add to everything that our special guest has already shared with us. Now, let's go to Miss Southern Bell. How are you today? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives in regards to the proverb or comment to the conversation with our special guest?
So good morning, all. This is Miss Southern Bell coming in from Memphis, Tennessee. And I first just like to say how much I've enjoyed all the jewels and wisdom that's been shared by your speakers this morning. Certainly when I hear of the proverb that the good mother knows what her children would eat, it reminds me a lot of my mother, just as you all seem to have had wonderful mothers as well. And I can always remember, particularly when I was ill, similar to the young lady who spoke right before me, that my mother knew how to heal me. She knew what I needed, and she anticipated what was wrong before I could even tell her. Which makes me think, as I went to see Wakanda Forever this past weekend, and one of the statements in Black Panther and in Wakanda Forever that always resonates to me that the mom says is show them who you are. that oftentimes our mothers know our purpose and they speak that life into us even before we understand what it is. And so I think, that's something that resonates with me as a person who was 27 when I got my PhD. One of the things that I studied is I learned that a lot of times who we become has to be where our parents' expectations were for us. So once I had a group of minority students who were seeking their terminal degree, and I asked them to all go home and ask their parents what they thought they would be, and they all said doctors, and they all became doctors. So to me, again, I just think parents, we owe so much to our parents because they oftentimes are who give us our purpose in life before we're able to figure that out on our own. And certainly they know what we need before we can even voice it to them.
So great, so great. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate that. And I also appreciate you for your support, consistency in joining us is really, really appreciated. I want to bring on Jermaine, my brother. How are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to today's proverb from Ghana, and also comments to our special guest?
Yes, greetings, my brother. Yeah, man, Simon, give thanks for the space. I've been sharing, the links, spread the positive message. And Roger, incredible. You're very influential. I like how you, deliver and how you motivate, people. It seems very natural. So I just pray that the Most High will continue to give you the energy, to do what, you are designed to do. It's clear. So just continue to influence. And Simon, continue to link with brothers like those so you can, place him, in the right audience. Because as I said, I share the link, millions of Africans, millions of ghetto youths, in Mississippi, Houston, Kingston, Trenchtown, Tivoli, Flankers, Diego, in Trinidad, Lavintel, all over in the Caribbean, and Africa need to have positive role models that are not necessarily a sports star, or, a entertainer, but just an educator, somebody who, they can see, to just use their natural gift, their natural intellect to, prosper. So, Roger, continue to do what you're doing. Regarding the Proverbs, the Proverb is very clear. And by the way, why I actually come in the room this morning, somebody special is in the room, in Simon, one of the Jamaican. You know who it is, Simon?
Yeah, Tioma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tioma is incredible.
Yeah, give her a special bless up, and send some positive energy her way. More love to Mama T. Yeah, so just more love. A parent, a mother knows best. I used to believe, perhaps I still believe, because it based off the Bible. That say, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is good. And at one point, I used to tell my close friend, listen to your mother. She might be telling you something that you don't agree with, but just listen to her. By just being obedient to her, it will have a good outcome. Just listen. Obey. It might not make sense, you might not agree, but just know that it's from a good source of benefit to you. So clearly, man, a good mother knows best, knows what best, to feed her children. Yeah, man, it's clear. So that proverb is not, knocking my head too much, because sometimes when I post the, the Lincoln status. You have different interpretation. People always have a different interpretation. It's not often you get a majority of persons saying the same, the same exact word or sentiment. But this one, I think, will be fairly, clear, by saying that, a good mother know best, and she will, do what best for her children, in all aspects, not just in nutrition, but in counseling, in good, growing up mannerism, grooming, etiquette, all different type of subtle things that, even in cultural practice and mores and, just to teach the youth and teach, the son, how to treat a woman, or treat a daughter, or teach a daughter how to be a good wife, be a good, young lady. It's just all goodness, that flows from a good mother, and that's just my thoughts, All right, Simon, continue to be a good father, same way.
Blessing, my brother. I deeply appreciate it. One of my dreams, Jermaine, is to come to Jamaica. I want to come and do some recording of the podcast in Jamaica, in Miami. I'm planning a tour next year. So, if you would like to host me in your city, you should send me a DM on Instagram.
Yes. Yes, we've been talking about sending a direct, but follow me on Twitter. I follow you on Twitter and on Instagram. So follow me back, and then we can move from there. Or just message me then. That is the best thing, I will message you because, Mama T and I'm sure we could, make something happen where we could,
I would love that, yeah, for sure.
The audience, I'm pulling Mama T, but I know the audience, I know I have an audience. You already have your audience. Roger, have his audience. Everyone in the room have an audience when you think about it. So all we have to do is just connect. Anywhere in the world, we can just connect and broadcast globally. You have people in the room, on all continents right now. So True. You're welcome anytime.
True, man. True. I appreciate you. Let's go to Brother Earth. Brother Earth, where are you joining us from? What are your thoughts on the proverb, and any brief comment to our special guest today? Jermaine, I appreciate you deeply.
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm coming from the North Carolina territory. And as far as the conversation between you and the brother, I think it's very beautiful that, he working with the students, especially the young males, and teaching them to be intentional. Because for a long time growing up, not having positive male role models in my life, I lacked direction. And for, somebody to be giving them lessons, motivation, direction, and discipline, that's very important at that stage in their life. And I want to give him mad props for all that he's doing with that. And as far as the proverb is concerned, the good mother knows what her children will eat. I'm gonna go at it a little differently. In the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, he said, hold a woman to a higher esteem, because the nation can only raise as high as the woman, being that the woman is the first teacher of the children, right? So I look at a good mother knowing what her children want to eat, meaning a good mother has something of substance to put in her children. Because now a lot of mothers just give their children a cell phone or a tablet and let them raise the child. You know what I'm saying? But a good mother is going to put knowledge, wisdom, or something of substance in between the child's ear to give them the ability to think for themselves and to grow and blossom into a productive adult. And I'll park my plane right there. That's Brother Earth. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth. Let's go to Kiden and then back to you, Roger. Hey, Kiden. By the way, I would love for you all to follow Kiden. She's also an amazing podcaster. And, she has a lot going on that I think you should all be a part of. So, Kiden, share your thoughts on the proverb and any comments to Roger. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Simon, for inviting me to share my thoughts. And good morning, everyone. And Roger, I really enjoyed listening to Roger's nuggets and all the things that he shared. And I just love how he's passionate about pouring into his students, which is so inspiring. And I really believe, like, aside from our parents, teachers are the other group of people we spend a lot of time with in our upbringing. So it's so important to have quality teachers and educators like Roger. So thank you so much for just sharing a lot of good stuff today. As far as the proverb, wow, I could say so many things, but I agree with what everyone mentioned. We all have stories about how our moms were there for us and helped us. When I think about the word eat at the end of the proverb, it makes me think about more than food also. It makes me think about like how brother was mentioning like the tablets and the cell phones. I think about how we are helping our children grow mentally and spiritually. So not just the food that they're eating, but, monitoring what they're watching, the games they're playing and things like that. It's so important. And the last thing I want to say is when you think about what Kyrie Irving is going through in the media right now, I think maybe it was like a week or two ago, he said something about his mother, like, thank goodness, my mother raised me to be the man that I am. And so this kind of ties back into the proverb, and like the way he's dealing with the media is so graceful. Like I haven't seen him like lash out or bring more negative attention to himself. He's kind of just dealt with the whole thing in just a peaceful calmness, even in his press releases. And to me, also that's inspiring, and it speaks to how his parents raised him, what kind of man they raised him to be. So I just want to park my plane right there. Thank you again, Simon. Thank you, everyone. And I want to shout out this podcast. I think it's so awesome. It's like you're in the desert and you want water. So to me, this is like a glass of water, like every morning. It's so inspiring and so beautiful. And I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear about it and join in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiden. I deeply appreciate you for everything you just said, and also for the work that you do with your own podcast. And, I can't wait for us to collaborate more. Kiden also participated in Madaraka Festival that I produce this August. So she's in Florida, but she was in Seattle for that. So we continue building, across boundaries. And really that's what this platform is for. So now we are back to you, my brother Roger. I just want you to share maybe 3 things that you heard from our audience members that moved you, and then share with us how we can stay in touch with you. But importantly, where can we get your book? Where can we get your book so that we can support you, our wonderful, wonderful brother? For some reason, I lost Roger, so we will give him a few minutes so that he can join us again. Today has been an incredible time here, with the African Father in America podcast. We've been, slowly going through, and deepening our understanding of this incredible Ghanaian proverb that has been the center of our conversation today. And, my special guest, as you all know, has been Roger Poland, who is an author and teacher and, football coach and a father. And so, for me, having guests like this really, really affirms why we do this work. You can't really scratch your own back. I think that's another African proverb that is coming up this week. You can't scratch your own back. Somebody else has to scratch your back. So I'll bring back Roger so that he can help us wrap up our conversation for today. Roger, can you hear me? Okay. Roger is here, but he's frozen. Let's just give him a minute so that he can settle in. I just want to check in with everyone who is watching on YouTube and everyone who is listening in on Clubhouse. Make sure you're following me. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, that's a good place for us to stay connected, because that's where after this conversation we post a short video clip as an Instagram reel, just summarizing what we talked about and also sharing the 3 nuggets of wisdom that that we shared at the beginning of this conversation. And also, before this podcast is broadcasted, we also go live. We also share the post with it on Instagram, so that, let's see if Roger comes back here. Just give me a moment. There you are. Can you hear me now, Roger?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Excellent.
Sorry.
Excellent. So I'll come straight to you so that you can just wrap up the conversation for us. Just reflect on what you had our contributors give us today, and then share with us where we can get your book, your books, and also how we can stay connected with you.
Okay, perfect. The first, I didn't get everybody's name. The first guest said everything kind of stood out. The thing that stood out was just do it, like go out and do it. And what I tell everybody with that is we know this story. Like if you look at Shrek, right? Shrek is a monster who goes to a castle. Who does he go to the castle with? He goes to the castle with a donkey, with a fool. In a castle, who entertains the king? The jester. You have to risk being a fool anytime you want to do something new. That's just the way it is. Now, you have to be a fool, especially because it's new, because like 50 people went off in that direction and they didn't come back. For whatever reason, the monster inside of you that you have built and torn, you're the one person to go over there and come back with the dragon's head and with the princess, the prince with the... Hello?
Oh. I hear you. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Anyone can identify problems, be a person that finds solutions. I tell my children, hey, look, you guys can always tell me a problem. A little kid can always say that's a problem. Anybody can identify a problem. It's about building and integrating the information that you need to build in order to become a solution bringer. Southern Belle said, show them who you are, from the Black Panther. And I think what we're missing in our society right now is we keep on trying to conflate that what you have is who you are. And that's not, like, you don't get being from having. You get having from having, and you get being from being. But the more that you can build yourself and the better you can be, it's the more that you can get and have. That doesn't mean that the more that you can have, it's the more that you can be. And that's what we're seeing today. See, it's separating what's true versus truth, right? Like it was true at one point that everybody thought that the earth was flat. We found out that that's not truth. It was true at one point that because of the color of your skin, you could be that you were less educated, or you were a beast, you were an animal. What's truth isn't necessarily what's true. So we are always, I think that's the theme of life, we are always trying to find out what is truth. And then he said, not just in nutrition or any facet in being. I call them the unwritten rules. There's the unwritten rules about how we live. There's the unwritten rules about how we are. There's the unwritten rules about how to treat a lady, how to treat your children, how to treat yourself. And then art, it's the same thing. I tell my daughter, I have a boy-girl twins. We keep on thinking that the king makes the queen. And that doesn't make any sense. The woman populates the city. The king defends it. So it's the queen who makes the king. Because the king by himself, he's going to wither away and die. Without the queen, without the producer, without the reproducer of everything, you don't have anything. So it's queens who make kings, and we've looked at it in a different way because of all of the production. And then Caden said again, like, it's more than just food when we talk about eating. My books can be found on Amazon, the book everyone can read, and Courage, Love, and Discipline, Build the Pyramid. And I have a website, motiveandmotivation.com, and my Instagram is @1RogerPollard. So I'm always posting motivation, always posting different philosophical thoughts, different spiritual thoughts. It's what I like to do, so I figured I might as well do it.
Incredible, my brother. I will make sure we reach out to you for another conversation, just really focusing on each of your books. But I commend you for the discipline and the courage and the love, and also all the work that you've put into who you are. It's not easy, especially being black in America, and also being able to, fight your own fights internally and get to a place where you can actually help other people the way you are. So congratulations, and this is the end of our conversation today. So for those who are watching on YouTube, again, thank you so much. It means a lot that you're all still here with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. But if you're watching it later on after the live recording, leave your comments down below so that we know what today's proverb from Ghana means to you. If you're going to be listening in, especially on Apple, where the African Father in America is now a 5-star rated podcast, make sure you also rate this podcast there, subscribe over there as well. Brother Roger, thank you, and take great care of yourself.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.